Hi, FlossTube Stitchers. My guest today is Shiloh. He is a 20-year-old cockatiel. He's quite handsome, right? Anything else you want me to tell them about you? He's probably officially my niece Caitlin's bird, but as all you pet moms know out there, it's probably my sister-in-law who's done most of the work over the years. And he has always lived at Mark and Patty's house. No matter where Caitlin has been, he's always lived in one place. What is happening here? You're distracting me from my video. I don't know what you're doing. What's happening here? Okay, don't put your back to the people. No, you don't want to be on camera? We have been bird sitting for, I think this is the 9th day. And later tonight, we're going to meet my niece Caitlin at the airport and he'll go back home. So I thought I would just bring him to the shop with me today and he could hang out, see what I do, and then be on camera with me if he would like. Now he may disappear. He's done that a couple times. He may turn his back to you, or he may interrupt me when I'm talking. We just never know what he's going to do. He doesn't talk, but he chirps and whistles, right? Maybe you'll do some of that today. I think he had met my dogs maybe once or twice before. We don't normally take them over there when we visit, except for maybe Christmas, because that's a longer visit during the day. So, but he wasn't used to being with my 2 dogs all day, every day, right? Did you have to get used to that? Did they bark a lot? But they didn't bother you, right? They were curious, but not like overly aggressively interested. So yeah, that's right. I looked up how to care for a cockatiel after I'd had him for a couple of days. I said, maybe, I didn't even know what kind of bird he was. I had to ask. And there was an article about what happens to their feathers when they get surprised or agitated or afraid. And so I thought, oh, I don't think he's done any of those feather motions during the week, at least that I've been home. But we did have a few instances where the dog was barking loud at something, or somebody dropped something, and he kind of tried to fly around the cage a little bit. And how many feathers have you lost this week? I've cleaned quite a few feathers out of here. Can you count that high? And I wondered how often they lose their feathers, not just the little fluffy ones, but big tail feathers, because he was trying to fly himself around the cage. But that only happened a couple times, right? You felt pretty safe. Would you come visit again? So the first morning that we had him, I was trying to follow, their home routine. And at night they put a towel, 2 towels, and cover the cage when it's bedtime, and then they take it off in the morning. And so the first morning, I think when he sensed a little activity in the room, he just went, eh. And I said, oh, is it time to get up? And so I took the towels off of his crate, and I did a family text to Mark, Patty, and Caitlin, and my sister-in-law said, yeah, he's like, don't forget about me. I'm under here and I'm ready to get up. Well, at night, I said, night, night, little birdie. Night, 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 little birdie. And then in the morning, I took the towel off and I said, good morning, little pups. Well, that's what I say to my dogs. So I said, he's just one of the dogs right now. But he wasn't performing on camera for me. I was trying to get him doing some cute stuff. And just like my dogs, as soon as the camera comes out, as soon as the phone comes out, they must know, must be maybe some kind of reflection. And they just immediately stop like deer in the headlights. And so I tricked him the next morning, and I already had my phone going in video mode before I lifted the towel. So I'll put a few videos at the end, because I don't know if he's going to do anything interesting while he's on this video with me. So I have these two older models, and I had them pegged for June, maybe before I was ready to show all patriotic stuff. Although, you know, the 4th of July is at the beginning of the month, and I could keep the rest of July for something else, but I had pegged these two models to show you during the month of June, and it just turns out they're both birds. So the first one is, all right, I'm gonna cover you up there, don't be offended. It's called Feed the Birds. The chart also has another design called Bird Watcher, and it's by Needle Love Company. And the two designs on this chart were done by Renee Nanaman, one of the co-owners of the company. And I was never really, you know, a bird watcher or a bird lover. Of course, I do enjoy hearing birds in nature, but I wasn't really into them. But over the years, I've done a few activities involving birds. And my grandmother liked birds, and my mom did when she moved into a house where she wasn't putting up a big tree anymore. She did a little tree that was all bird ornaments. So they would get a kick out of you being on this video with me, huh? The second design is also from Needle Love Company, and this is one of like maybe 5 designs that were from Sunflower Morning. And this chart was a great seller because of all the buttons it called for. So that was a fun model to have on display. And I was very surprised when I went to look them up online to find out that there is still a website up for Needle Love Company. And I thought I had tried before, but maybe I was using too many words. Maybe I was putting in too many punctuation marks or something. But it's just Need L Love. So it's NEEDLLOVE.com. And she still has, I don't know if there's like 20 charts or something, and these two are still available. They're $5, original price. It says new and unused, so I know these are from their original stock, and it even says how many copies they have left. And I thought, if I had figured this out earlier, I could have ordered the charts and had them and had these as models now. But I think when they stopped designing cross stitch and when the distributor stopped carrying them, I assumed, which you should never do, but I assumed that they were no longer available. So I was surprised. Oh, now you're going to groom yourself, huh? Now you're going to groom yourself on camera? Oh, did you forget you were on camera? All right, what's next on our list? The projects from Sunflower Morning were designed by Lisa Daly. And I did not remember that name. I don't think she was one of the co-owners, but she was involved in their company somehow, or they bought her designs or whatever. But she was she gets credit for that second book. Okay, the next shop model is just the one that we got most recently. It doesn't have to do with the season or anything. It's by Jan Hicks Creates. I'll just take advantage now since he's not even on camera. And it's called Samplings in Lace. There's 4 seasons, and this one is winter. And I love this one. These colors, I told Phyllis when she was getting it framed, well, when I was helping her pick out the colors too, I said, this would look so great in my house. It doesn't necessarily scream a season to you. So you could actually take any of the 4 designs and do it in your color palette. Just be careful when you go to do the shading because there were some tricky parts to this one. And she stitched it on, I'm pretty sure it's 36 count with 1 strand. And I know this color ended up being different. I don't remember all the details. She probably has it written down and I could find out, but I know there was a little bit of an issue with trying to make sure all the shades showed up right. The original 4 designs I think were done on summer khaki, which is a dark color, so that could have been part of the issue. But anyway, I think this is so pretty. I'm so happy to have it on display, and she and the framer decided that it just needed a little skinny frame and to let the design show. So I have to order these charts. I think I only had spring in stock, but I do have these samplings samplings of lace. The other ones were, what did I say it was? Seasons of lace. These are samplings of lace. And so this is the winter version. And I don't know if, I didn't really check to see if any of the motifs were the same or they're just coordinated, but I always thought this set was really pretty. I got these from Jan at the first time I saw her at market, and this one says 22, so that's probably when I got them. So that was winter, and then we've got spring. And I would tell you the floss colors, but she doesn't list them on the back. She only lists the stitch count, so I don't know the floss colors, but certainly they would be easy to change to fit into your house. And I do have a picture from market of a tiered tray with the 4 seasons on it. I'll have to show that sometime on social media. And then this is summer, which might come off kind of grayish or brown on camera, but I believe it's a plum color. And then this is autumn. And actually, for some reason, this is my least favorite of the coloring choices, and I think it's just the yellow. I think I would probably keep a tighter color palette like the other 3 seasons. But they're a $12.50 value, any of them. The seasons of lace or the samplings in lace, they're all $12.50. So I don't care which one you want or which series, but that will be the giveaway this week. And it doesn't even matter if I have to order it, because I was going to order them anyway now that I have a model. So you can choose winter, spring, summer, or autumn in either the big sampler or the smalls. Alrighty, we'll get that out of the way. All right, next we'll go into my stitching. And I made some progress on JBW Designs A-Round Bees. If you can see any shading in the middle there, I have some tails pulled to the back because I just wanted to make sure I hadn't forgotten anything. That's happened to me before with some of these patterns that have some confetti stitches and little motifs where I have missed a stitch and then I have to go back and wind under 2 tails. So I kind of left some of my tails on the back. I just have a few more motifs, and then I'm going to fill in the confetti stitches with a solid shade of DMC yellow. And I looked at several different color families, and I think just about anything will work. It goes with, I mean, there's a lot of shades in the thread. This is the Sulky 12 weight 4002, and there's a lot of shades in yellow in there. So I looked, and it really doesn't matter which one I choose. I wouldn't choose like a really bright yellow, just something that blends. But I think it'll give it some nice depth and texture because the Sulky looks a little thicker on the piece. And then the 1 strand, I mean, this is 1 strand, but it's like the equivalent of 2. So the 1 strand of DMC for the confetti stitches should give it some more texture. So that's that. I should be finishing that up soon. I probably could have finished it this week. You saw that much done if you follow me on social media. I haven't stitched on that since Wednesday. I decided that I didn't plan for June to be a bee stitching month. I actually didn't have very many plans for this year for stitching. But I just decided I have too many bee things finished. And when I go to change out my displays, I'm like, where are all the bee things I stitched last year? Oh yeah, I never fully finished them or never finished stitching them. So I started working on Skep of Bees again by Bent Creek. I can't remember when I started this. I don't know if it was last year or the year before, but it's stitched on the 20 count linen over 2 using number 5 pearl cotton. It comes as a kit. And this one I have tails on the front because there are so many little sections, and what I'm trying to do is weave thread from one color to the next, like under a similar color. And it's hard to, like, I can't do the whole honeycomb because it skips so much space for the bees, and I can't do all the black bees and connect them, or the black parts of the bees. So it's been a little, it wasn't as much fun as I thought it was going to be that night, although it was really easy to see on a night when I was tired. So I did some more bees on that one, and I need to get that finished because I love this whole series. They're so cute. Alrighty, and then I don't know why I did it, but I had to start something new. And I've been wanting to do this for a while. I want to do all the bees from Primrose Cottage Stitches. So Honeybee Basket is from last year, and I had this put aside. I didn't know what I was going to stitch it on. I wasn't sure I was going to order, you know, the display piece from More Men Made. So it didn't really matter to me what count I stitched it on. They did theirs on 25 count white. And I had this piece of Color and Cotton 28 count cashel in white tea that I had gotten a few years ago. And I don't sell as much 28 as I do the rest of the counts of linen. And so it was just sitting there, and I liked the color, and I can't get their fabric anymore because they never have anything wholesale available. So I thought, well, this is still sitting here after, you know, a couple years. I'm just going to take it. So I took the 1/4 yard, cut a 9-inch piece off of it, and this is how much I got done in 2 sittings. I'm using the called for DMC colors for the green and the yellow, and then there's a gray, a dark gray, 535 I think it is, for part of the bee skep roof and stand and the bee itself. But for the basket, the color that it called for was 3813, and it just looked so light, and it looked darker in the picture, and I know not to trust the picture, but it looked so light. And my other thought about this is that I had another piece that I hadn't started, another one of the Primrose Cottage bees, and I hadn't started it yet because I couldn't find the 3813, and that was like right in the middle or something. And I thought, I know I had this because I stitched several other of their pieces that used this same color palette. I could not find it. I checked my list. It didn't look like it was in a kit anywhere with another project. And then I thought, I wonder if I thought it was too light for the first project I stitched, and maybe I stitched with a different color, but I didn't take the time to go look it up. So anyway, I decided that I was going to use a subtle overdye for the flower pot. I know it's not going to show that much, but since it's such a large area, I thought that would be a good opportunity to use it. And I took home 4 colors of Color and Cotton, and one of them was too bright, one was too dark, one was too green, and I didn't want it to clash with the green that was already on here. So I ended up choosing Bobbins. And it is going to be a subtle overdye. Because I'm stitching with 2 strands, I'm going the Danish way across the row and back instead of doing each stitch individually, because I don't like how lumpy that looks on a big area or even a small area. All right, so that is Honeybee Basket. And this is the piece I finished that I had started at our family reunion last year. I showed this to you already, but this has 3 shades of DMC teal. And I do believe that you can tell the difference now because the bee's wings are a little bit lighter. But while I was stitching it, I'm like, why are there 3 shades? They all look, you know, except for the really dark one, the other 2 look similar. But I thought I could use this Bobbins, mixing it in with some of the other charts I'm going to stitch from them as well. Alrighty, and then let's see, I'm going to show you the previous pieces that I stitched of theirs. I don't remember in what order I stitched these. I'm just grabbing them. So this is Kind Words, and I did this on waxing, I think it's Waxing Moon 16 count fabric flare. So I'm stitching with the general color palette with, so far it's just been this one change or maybe two changes, but the whole series is going to be coordinated, you know, by the theme, the design style, and the floss colors. So it doesn't really matter what fabric I stitched on. And this, boy, I really, this is a subtle over dye, a coffee dye color. This is Bumblebee Kisses. And so this has a black fillet, but we made the frame brighter. And then here's another one in a black frame. So this is Be Happy. And this is, it's one strand, so I'm sure it's 32, but right now I can't remember what I stitched it on. So if I do a bee video or do a grouping at home with all of them, I'll make sure I have that information. So I'm happy to get another bee one done, and maybe I'll have Bonnie look at these last two at the same time, and we can, I don't know if they might be the same size. It might be kind of fun to have two companion pieces, but I'm not sure yet. Okay, then I had a finish and a fully finish, the same item. Don't get too excited, it's really tiny. But I had these pillows left over from market. This $4 pillow is actually from the Nashville market, and then I still have the trunk show on display. But I remember saying in a previous video that this little flower print is so subtle that you could probably still do a patriotic design on it. And I thought that I had something like that at home. Yes. So I already had it stitched. It is from Heartstring Samplery Festive Little Fobs Americana Edition. It's that one right there. And she did use some really drab prim colors in this one. And I know I changed the green from Lichen to Oscar, but it's still really drab. It kind of looks like beige. And I didn't know how I was going to finish it anyway, but I kept thinking I was going to go back and change the green. Well, guess what? I still could, because this fabric is just tucked into the pillow with a piece of thermolam. So I could certainly take it apart and change that if it bothers me. But I guess it depends on what I do with the other ones in the series. I have a number of them stitched or partially stitched. And if I change all the green, then I'll change this one. If I don't change the green, then I'll just let this one go. Up close, it's cute, and in a tiered tray or a basket, it'll be just fine. So then I wanted to talk about the bow. So I had ribbon that I was going to tie into a bow, and then I was going to dangle a button from it or something, and I was having a lot of trouble. I was using those little light bulb pins, but it wasn't holding the button right, and then I couldn't get it through the ribbon without piercing the ribbon, and I'm not a finisher, so I just wasn't sure what I was going to do. And I had this longer piece of off-white ribbon, and I thought, oh, maybe I'll just kind of wrap it around. Well, I tried it several times, and I tried to make a little bow in the corner, and it just looked terrible. Like, and then you know how sometimes you have to do the bow upside down so it's hanging the right way. It's like, have you ever done packages that way where it's like, why is it oriented in this direction? So I looked up a little video on how to do a bow, and it was perfect because it was by Barbstamps, Barb Mullican from Barbstamps, and I believe her website is still up, but she was a Stampin' Up consultant, or maybe still is. And so she did a video on how to do bows for cards, and she showed 3 different methods. So I used her method because I didn't really want a bow, I just really wanted a perfect knot. So I will put the link in the notes because it really was the perfect knot. So that's my finish. So last week's winner was for their choice of birthstone chart from Wendy at From the Heart, and it doesn't matter whether the chart is out yet or not. I think she only has, I think she started with January, and so she only has 5 or 6 months. I think she has 6 months done. So the winner is J Forster 95, and she mentioned that her birthday was in October. So we can wait for October's to come out, or she could pick another month to do for another family member. That is certainly her choice when she reaches out to me. Okay, I guess that's it. And Shiloh, do you want to come back and talk? I just cannot believe that he's been so quiet now. He was talking up a storm when I was doing the practice videos. Come over here. Come over. Oh, there he is. There he is. Come over here. Hello. 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 Is that your mirror? Do you like looking in the mirror? Do you like looking in the mirror? Because you're so handsome. I know. You can't resist. All right. Well, I guess he's not coming. He's not coming back on camera. Oh, I forgot to tell you. When I got here to the shop, it was raining, and so it was kind of dreary, and I put his cage on top of the framing counter up by the front window. And then about an hour later, the sun came out, and I thought, oh, I don't want him to be in the sun, because I had read that wasn't good for them. So I took the towel and I covered the backside of it so that he wouldn't get too warm while I was still trying to figure out where I was going to set him up. And he had a conniption. He was running around back and forth on his perch, and he takes his claws in his beak, and he goes around the crate this way too, instead of just on the perches. And he actually got over to the side here, and he put his beak through the slats, through the grate, and he tried pulling on the towel. He's like, lady, it is not bedtime yet. Take this off. Well, then I put it on to film some up front because it was too distracting to see what was behind, and I wanted you to focus on the bird. So that's why I put the towel here so that you could see him better, even though he's not cooperating. So anyway, thanks for putting up with Shiloh and I today, and thanks for watching. We'll see you next week. Bye-bye. Good morning. Good morning, little birdie. Good morning, Shiloh. Good morning, pretty bird. Good morning. Pretty bird. Pretty bird. Pretty bird. Hello. 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 Okay, Shiloh, this is our test run to make sure the camera's in the right place. Yep. Oh, you got to get your positioning right. Make sure people can see you on camera. Yep. And then you got to look right there. You got to look right up. Yeah, right up there so people can see your face. It is. It's like looking in a mirror. It's exactly like looking in your mirror, huh? Oh, you're so busy. You can't find the right spot? Oh, oh. Come back on camera. You're the silliest bird. Was that some kind of trick you were trying to show them?